Hey everybody, Alex here, and welcome to A Base to the Past number 3. Now, the reason why we're discussing the above, the Street Fighter Christmas as I call it, is because my PlayStation 3, as you probably know by now, is busted and Street Fighter 4 is stuck inside. So I also don't have access to my Street Fighter 3 Online, which I was actually playing a bit of, but in the process, I rediscovered more of the old Street Fighter games. So, thus in, I decided, you know what? Let's talk about my Street Fighter Christmas. Now, this isn't the Christmas where I discovered Street Fighter. Actually, the first time I even played Street Fighter, or any form of it, was in, I want to say, the second or third grade in grammar school. My grammar school, what they used to do for the 8th grade class, they would have a graduation trip. And to raise money for those graduation trips, they would put on a Halloween carnival. And in those carnivals, they'd have like silly games, like apple picking things, a haunted house, and it cost like, like a quarter or whatever the hell it was. And they always had video game kiosks. Basically, they would always have 3 or 4, depending. And I remember when I was in 8th grade, I called dibs on one because I was like, no, nobody can do it better than I can. Which, I showed up with a Sega CD. Who knew? It was cheating, just to get the Sega Genesis there too. But anyway, so I played Street Fighter 2 at one of the fairs that year. I mean, one of the kiosks that year. And I was hooked. I actually played Blanca, who was a character I, to this day, have problems fighting against. And to this day, I can't even really use him that well. But for whatever reason, that one day, just the experience was absolutely amazing. He made total sense to me. The electricity, I mean, essentially I was button mashing, but just knowing he could electrocute and the rest of his moves, I mean, they were charging. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But it just looked cool. And then, I saw Ryu, I saw Guile, Chun-Li, all of them. And I was like, oh my god, I want this game. So, I want to say it was my birthday. I got Street Fighter 2 from my uncle. And I played that game to death. Now, we're going to fast forward a few years. We'll say, I don't remember the year. I'll have to probably put a note somewhere around here somewhere. The Street Fighter Christmas. It was this Christmas. I don't know what happened. Essentially, this was the Christmas. One of the Christmases. I feel like an idiot saying this. I was spoiled rotten, and I received what even my uncle called the ultimate Street Fighter gift. It was 3 boxes, but he always had to trick me, and he had an order and everything else. He was one of those guys. You had to open the gifts in the order he deemed because, not because one was lesser than the other, but because he wanted to build anticipation. He was like, if he got you like a console, he would give you the game, and then he'd make you wait for 5 hours just to give you the console. It was that sort of thing. At the time, I was like, this dick, but now I appreciate it. So that Christmas, he gave me 3 boxes, and he said, "This is," he even said, "This is the Street Fighter Christmas." And I was like, okay. So I opened up one of them, and Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. And I didn't know this existed. Actually, I was just starting to get into anime, and my uncle, I don't want to say he partially raised me, but he had a big hand in me growing up, and I guess maybe he did. So, but he knew what was cool, I guess. He knew what I liked. He had my taste down pretty much. So he got me Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, on VHS. This is how far back we're going. And I didn't even know it existed. And I must have watched that movie 4 or 5 times that Christmas day. 4 or 5 times, just, over and over and over and over. I was... Just the end scene. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you see one of the coolest team-ups ever in Street Fighter history, in my opinion. One of the best. And after that, now it's about, 8:30 at night. Now he's allowing me to open the rest of the, alleged Street Fighter Christmas, right? So he gives me one, and it's a book. And I open it up, and it's the strategy guide to Street Fighter Alpha. Now, stupid me, I didn't bother to read it. I thought it was an art book. And to this day, I think that strategy guide should have been an art book because at least half of it had nothing but concept art in it, which was absolutely awesome. But in the process, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, who the hell are half these characters? Sodom, Guy, Rose. I'm like, who are these people? I mean, Guy I kind of sort of knew from Final Fight, but I was like, that's not him. I thought it was a likeness. Sodom, same thing. But I was like, who the hell, who are these guys? And then my uncle presented me with the final gift, which was a long box copy of Street Fighter Alpha, which is obviously gone. And I looked at it, and, you know, I saw the cover. I was like, this looks absolutely awesome. And, you know, I popped it in. And the first thing that I saw was completely different from what I knew of Street Fighter.
Hadouken! 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 Street Fighter Alpha.
I was used to pixelated art, not this almost hand-drawn sprite anime look. And I have to say, that intro to this day I still think is one of the cheesiest intros I've ever seen. But at the time, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So, you know, I pop it in, I had already popped it in, and I start to play it, and I'm looking at the character roster. Once again, I'm like, who the hell are half these people? So I went with who I thought was familiar. Your Ryus and your Kens and whatnot. Even Chun-Li had a different outfit. I didn't even realize it was Chun-Li at first. I was like, what happened? And then I finally found out it's called Alpha because this took place before everything else. It's kind of a prequel story, which I thought was really cool at the time. And it explained why Ken had super long hair and why he had a red bandana around his hair, and eventually Ryu got it and everything. It just made sense to me at that particular point. So I played through the game that night, and I got to the whatever conditions I had to do. To this day, I don't know how I did it without even looking anything up in that strategy guide, but I got the dramatic final battle, which this may be a spoiler to some of you, but Ken and Ryu will team up to fight Bison. And then from there, having just watched the movie 5 times, I almost shit myself. I was like, oh my god. Like, I was in absolute awe. And I looked at my uncle, I'm like, did you know about this? He's like, no. I think he kind of knew because in all honesty, I don't know what I did, but he told me, he was like, make sure you pick Ryu. Make sure you pick Ryu. Make sure you pick Ken. He was kind of sort of guiding me, I would dare say. And he watched me play through it. So, got to that final battle. I had the 2 of them teamed up. And I was scared. I was absolutely scared. I'm like, oh my god, Bison is so strong. The computer is giving me another character to use against him. I ultimately won, and it was awesome. It was like I was playing the movie, or I was playing the game based on the movie. I later found out that that scene was dedicated to the movie because, you know, they were released so close together. And I would dare say Street Fighter Alpha was the one fighting game that I played for the longest time. And just that entire Christmas, the Street Fighter Christmas, literally that's all I did was I just bounced back and forth. Alpha, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2, Alpha, just back and forth. And the strategy guide, which I wish I had it to this day. Just the artwork. I still check Book Off to see if anybody trades in it. Because I would love to have that book again. It's just, the nostalgia is just far too great for me to ignore it. And then after that, you know, Alpha quickly became my favorite Street Fighter game. And then they released Part 2 and Part 3 and everything else. Then Street Fighter 3 came out in the arcades, and, you know, initially everybody was like, what the hell did you do? There's all these characters, nobody knows who the hell they are. Alex, Sean, Oro, 12, Remy. Is this ever? I remember because I played it in the arcades. Everybody kind of looked at it and was just like, I don't know what to make of this. And I was one of those people, I'll be completely honest with you. But then after a while, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, you remember that Christmas where I got Street Fighter Alpha? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, remember how we had no freaking clue who half those characters were? He goes, yeah, what about it? I'm like, And you remember how awesome we found out that game was? He's like, well, what's your point? I'm like, give me 50 cents. I want, let's play some Street Fighter 3. And the two of us literally played that game to death for about 1 month out of that summer. To this day, I still suck at the parrying system, but honestly, I say Alpha is the one that helped me enjoy Street Fighter 3. They're two very completely different fighting systems. But it was just the fact that Alpha showed me it's okay to introduce new characters or a completely new format. It's okay. And, you know, Street Fighter 3 got a lot of backlash, but it does have a following. It's unfortunate that, you know, lately I've actually been getting back into Street Fighter 3, and I can't play it because my PS3 is kaputski. But I still have the Alpha Anthology, which is on the PS2, and I do have the PS2, so I can continue to play it. But what's really funny that I find about this particular instance with Street Fighter was it wasn't the first instance where I discovered Street Fighter, but I think it was like the most profound, and it was definitely one of the most memorable. I mean, yeah, you know, I was at school and I got to try it and I got to play Blanca, but just being able to watch a movie and be completely engrossed in it, even though the dubbing, you know, in hindsight is kind of and then get to relive that scene and actually play out that scene was absolutely amazing. And from that, it helped me, I guess, I don't want to say become a better Street Fighter player, it just got me more engrossed in the series. And every time there's a Street Fighter game, I always play it at least once. Alpha isn't my absolute favorite, that's EX plus Alpha, but Alpha I think had the biggest effect, one of the biggest effects on me, because it helped me to branch out to different types of Street Fighter games. I've been Alex, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.